Don't date someone you work with. Don't date someone you work with. Don't date someone you work with. I can't stress that enough. Hey guys. So, as you can see from the title, I dated a man 20 years older than me. And we're going to talk about it. So, I had a friend make up some questions, and then we also got questions from ChatGPT. I didn't look at all of them. There's like 17. So I'm gonna try to run through them as quickly as possible. So this isn't too long. It is raining outside, so, and you might hear my neighbors, just so you know. Let's jump right in. Number one, what initially attracted you to someone 20 years older than you? So here's the thing. We work together. Don't date someone you work with. Don't date someone you work with. Don't date someone you work with. I can't stress that enough. So, and no, it doesn't mean every experience is going to be my experience, but it's messing with your bag. Let's not mess with the bag. We had like work get-togethers, like bowling, picnics, things like that. And so we would hang out in that capacity with other people. And one night he was flirting. He was intoxicated. And he was flirting, and it kind of escalated from there. So there wasn't like an initial, like, I'm so into her, I'm so into him. It was like a gradual thing. After that night, we just kind of kept talking to each other. We'd go for walks at work. Then it was like walks outside of work. You know, then it was him asking me out to eat, whatever. So that's how that went. Number two, did you have any concerns about the age gap before entering the relationship? So once I did find out the age gap, there wasn't, I think my first thought was maybe, is he gonna just be the guy that wants to just sit at home and watch TV? Because some guys who are in their 60s and older, that might be all they want to do. I don't know his energy level or anything like that. Fortunately, he's a guy who plays pickleball. He works out, so he had a good level of energy. So that didn't end up being an issue for me. Let's see, number three, how did your friends and family react? My friends and family had no reaction. I think there was more of a reaction to him. He is white. I think there was more reaction to that than his age. And I think it's just because I dated a white guy before, but like not to this level. And then it was like we had been together for a little while. And so they were just shocked by that, I think, more so than his age. My daughter, on the other hand, she did not like him from the beginning. And before any drama ever happened, before he hurt me, like, she just didn't like him from the beginning. He is a different type of person in the sense of like, he is a bit neurotic, and, you know, I mean, he wasn't like an Eminem or, I'm trying to think of like a cool white guy. I don't know. He was like the white guy next door that says top of the morning type white guy, I guess. But that wasn't why she didn't like him. She just had a bad vibe about him, and she ended up not being wrong. So, number four, were there any misconceptions people had about your relationship? If there was, I don't know, because it's not like anyone would say anything to me or him about it. We worked together. Now, he had sold a house, so I'm sure he had more in his bank account than I did. And he was full-time and I'm part-time. So in that sense, he had more money than me, but we worked the same job. So it wasn't like he was balling out of control where they could say, oh, she's with him for his money type of thing. But I never had any misconceptions thrown my way anyway. Did the age Number 5, did the age gap difference affect the power dynamic? Yes and no. And I say yes and no because I feel like he was a bit manipulative, but I don't know that it was necessarily like an age thing. I mean, I'm 45. It's not like I've dated more than him. He was in a 20-year relationship, you know, so, but he was manipulative. When I say manipulative, I mean in ways like he kept talking about moving at one point, but yet the second I broke up with him, and I broke up with him because of the woman that he's with, he got with this woman like right after we broke up. And I'm like, what happened to you moving? Like, were you just throwing that out there? And I mean, it came up a lot. It came up when we went on a vacation to Toledo. He talked about moving back to Oregon. So it was just like, he was kind of manipulating the situation with that, where I was like, okay, are you in this or are you not in this? Are you moving? Playing with my emotions type situation. So in that power dynamic, he kind of got over on me in that way, in that sense. Number 6, how did your interests and life goals align despite the age gap? So our interest, we both like to go to nice restaurants. Like we both like Indian food and trying different restaurants, seafood, just all kind of food. We would go try different new restaurants and things like that. Both like to travel. We didn't like a lot of the same movies. Like we went to see some movies and he ended up liking the ones I would pick, but we weren't like most movies, we just weren't on the same level when it came to that. So there weren't a lot of movie nights, but we would talk for like hours and hours and hours. Conversation was a big thing with us. I think that was probably one of the most things we were aligned in, was that we could keep good conversation. We were both interested in a lot of the same things. He was very into politics. I know about politics. I know even more, of course, right now. But he was probably more into it than I was, in the sense that he would watch it every day for hours. Number 7, did you feel like you were at different life stages? I mean, of course we are, because he's 20 years older than I am. But I don't know. It's like, it's almost like you don't, like I didn't feel the different stages a good portion of the relationship. Excuse me. But after a while, I did see some differences. Like I said, he had been married before for 20 years. And I wasn't sure that he wanted to be married again. And I wasn't sure that I wanted to be married at all. But because I'm so much younger, I still wanted the option. And I didn't know that I had that option with him. So in that sense, we might have been in different stages. Number 8, were there generational differences in communication? Not really. We would talk on the phone. Neither one of us wanted to be on the phone for like ever. A lot of times our conversations would be like an hour. We were good about texting. I don't like communication wise. I will say I'm very sarcastic. I don't think that has to do with generational. That's just my mouth. So he did have to kind of get used to the sarcasm. And he did. He started being a little more sarcastic himself. Number 9, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced? His way of communicating when he was upset. It was almost like he was throwing a tantrum at times. And the only time I'm usually prone to throw a tantrum is if I'm like tired. Like if you're gonna bother me when I'm tired, you're probably gonna get 2-year-old Brandy. But with him, it just felt like if it was something he didn't want to talk about, like one time I brought up something and he didn't want to talk about it and he got upset and he put me out. Yes, this is a time that I should have broken up with him, besides the times before that. But he put me out of his home. He had the door open and he's like yelling at me where I'm pretty sure the neighbors can hear. One neighbor was standing in the hall watching. And in my mind, I'm thinking, this reaction for this, like, it just seemed like a whole lot. Like, I was really rattled by the reaction. I left because I was like, if I stay, this is going to escalate. And here's the thing. Like I said, I had been single for 7 years before him, and I had done the work on myself. Old Brandy would have probably punched him in the face. I'm not going to lie. But Brandy now was like, you know what? Deuces. But I stayed with him. So, yeah, my fault and his fault. I'm trying to think of other challenges. One time I was really, really sick. He had made pancakes and I was on my cycle. And my cycles sometimes are so bad where I'm like sweating, crying on the bathroom floor. And I was so sick this day, I couldn't even like feed myself to be able to take the medicine. And my daughter's like, Mom, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, don't worry about it. I figured when I talked to him, he would just bring the pancakes to my house because I'm like, I can't move. If I eat and take medicine, then maybe I can get moving. And he had a complete attitude and was looking at me like I was an alien. Like, what is wrong with you? He was like, oh, I'm going to bring you pancakes like you're a princess. Red flags, ladies, red flags. You got to let go when you get those red flags. You got to learn to let go. Another time that I should have let him go, and I did not. I don't even know, did he ever apologize for that? I don't feel like he apologized. I feel like he had the excuse of like, I didn't have to ever deal with that with my marriage or with whatever. And I'm just like, okay, but I'm a female and you know that this exists. No matter if it was my period or not, if I don't feel well, why is that your reaction? But I stayed. My fault. Number 10, did the age gap ever cause any insecurities on either side? Yes. I guess I always thought, he could leave me for someone his age, who he feels like he can really grow old with. And he felt the same way, that I could leave him for someone my age who maybe had more energy. He would always say, there could be a point in time where I'm not going to move as quickly or I'm not going to be as active. And I was kind of like, well, if we care about each other enough, we'll figure it out when the time comes. But when we broke up, the woman that he is with is in his age bracket. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't think too hard about it. I think he brought it up more than I did. I thought, hey, you're in a good situation. But how men are. No, I'm just kidding. So let's see, 11. What did I learn? I learned that the sign of a red flag, you need to leave, ladies. Like, I can't stress this enough. There's too many times where we see the red flag and we just are like, well, you come up with so many excuses in your head. And it's almost like say a man is like, oh, I could see marrying you in about 10 years. And you're like, but I want to be married in the next year. Then you guys are not on the same page. Or he's like, I want 5 kids. And you're like, I don't even know if I want kids. You're not on the same page. And instead of us letting go of that situation, we will stay in it. So I've learned, let it go. From the first red flag, let it go. And I had to figure out what it was that was making me stay. One time he literally broke up with me over text message and I didn't respond. And for 4 days he called and text and called. And then finally he's texted and said, or left a message and said, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have did that. Shouldn't have broke with you over text message. I should have left him alone then. Like, there was just too many times that I should have let go and I didn't. And I had to figure out why that was. I'm not going to get into that on this video, but Um, Number 12, would I date someone with a similar age gap? Yeah. I mean, I feel like one bad apple shouldn't spoil the bunch. Like, it's it is what it is. Ultimately, no matter how old they are, them red flags is what I need to pay attention to. Ultimately, learning when to let go. Number 13, did people assume there was final financial motivations? I have no idea. No one said anything to me. Like I said, we work the same job. So I don't know. But I do have a kid still at home. He doesn't. So things are a little different financially. But no one ever said anything to me if they thought something. 14, did you feel judged by society or your social circle? No. The only person who was judging me was my child. She was judging the heck out of me. And I think that was just more because she didn't care for him. And it wasn't a good thing that I was showing her these bad habits of staying with someone who mistreated me. I don't ever want her to stay with someone who treats them like that. So what was I showing her, you know? So other than that, I don't think anyone was judging. 15, do you feel age gap relationships matter more in certain phases of life? Absolutely. If my 18-year-old came home with a 35-year-old, I'm going to be looking at both of them like, why? And she has to live her life. I'm not going to, like, unless someone's putting their hands on her, she's going to have to make some bad choices and decisions that I'm going to have to sit back and sometimes throw my hands up. Not easy to do, but I'm going to have to do it sometimes. But in that situation, I will 1000% be like, really? Y'all are not in the same phases of life. Like, come on now. 16, what advice would you give someone considering dating someone much older? The same advice I give if they were closer in age. You have to also realize that sometimes you think if someone's older that they're going to be more mature. He was not more mature, and there were things in his life that he didn't necessarily deal with, and those things can reflect your romantic relationships. That's what I said. I had done the work on myself, so I shouldn't have gotten in that relationship because it made me backpedal and do things that I should not have been doing and accepting things I should not have been accepting. So the age gap thing, there's relationships that have definitely worked with age gap. It depends on the individual, to me. My personal opinion. Let's see. Last but not least, number 17. No, it is the last actually. How has this relationship shaped the way you view love and relationships? I don't think that you should let any person come into your life and ruin how you feel about relationships, because every person is not going to be like that. I've dated all kinds of people, all kinds of guys, and every situation's been different. So I would not let him keep me from ever. And I wasn't in love with him. I will say that. I liked him a lot, but I wasn't in love. So I think if I had been in love, I probably would have crashed out way worse. I might not have had my job still. And you can't let people mess up your bag. So definitely think that I'm just happy that I didn't let it take over my life in the sense of feeling like I'm never ever gonna date again. I'm 1000% gonna date again. I still don't know that I want to be married though, and that was like that before I met him. But I know I'm gonna date again. I definitely am gonna figure out more of why I ignore those red flags, because I don't want to ever do that again. And you have to realize that just because someone's even 20 years older than you doesn't mean they're going to be more mature than you in a relationship. So you have to consider that. So that's all I have for today. You guys can comment below. If you have any more questions about this situation, you can ask. I'll try and get to and respond. But comment below. You guys, date who you want to date, love who you want to love within reason, within legalities. But don't let anyone keep you from loving again or being in a relationship again. Sometimes shit just don't work out. It is what it is. All right, hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video.